Let's go! LSU has done it again. Another top 100 247 Sports 5-star receiver commits to the Tigers. It's DEREK Meadows out of Las Vegas, Nevada at the famous historic Bishop Gorman High School. Comment below if you believe he is the next great Tigers wide receiver. So a little bit later, and I know this will get me flamed in the comments, there is a massive and very interesting red flag, but I am very excited to have him, and I believe bringing in these 6'6 guys, you would like to think one of them is going to hit. And as you can see, this is a 247 5-star receiver. So one interesting note, I know Decorian Moore decommitted, but the last LSU Tiger 247 wide receiver to sign and play was Kayshon Boutte in 2020. So it's been a while since LSU has brought in a true 247 Sports 5-star. Now, the composite doesn't think he's a 5-star, but still. Now, I want you to take a look at this play. This was probably my favorite play on the tape. We know he is a red zone nightmare, and you would think he's just a jump ball receiver, but I want you to see the football IQ on this play. He's running a little comeback route. He's actually open, but the QB goes on a scramble drill. DB starts to cover Meadows. He then finds a window here, and look at this catch with a DB draped all over him, and we even get a fancier camera angle, and it makes you appreciate this catch even more. Watch him being dragged down by the back of his jersey and makes an all-hands catch in traffic. That is absolutely wonderful stuff. And it's these types of things that you look for when you're going all out to go get a wide receiver, a ceiling outcome player. You see him on the slant, take it to the house. One of the few big-time yak plays you do see on his tape. Now, before we get more into the evaluation, let's talk about his recruitment. So he was actually supposed to commit 7 days ago, and he decided to push back his commitment because, well, Notre Dame wanted to come back and see what they could do. Now, that was actually Meadows throwing a touchdown pass, which is pretty impressive, but Notre Dame really wanted Meadows. This is a guy that they put a lot of their recruiting efforts into. Meadows camped at Notre Dame at their big Irish recruiting get-together. So if you are still one of those people that hates Notre Dame because of all the mess that they said about Brian Kelly, well, guess what? This is one of those things that you can stick it right in their face. Because Notre Dame really wanted him, and they begged and pleaded and forced him to obviously rethink things, but eventually he did decide to pick up the decision. He did decide to go with LSU because one of the things that really blew him away, and I saw this actually on a Tennessee Visit interview, the smile of the potential of playing in the SEC. So this is a guy who really wants to be here, and you see a pretty good blocking rep here from Meadows, and that's something that obviously I like a lot. So give Cortez Hankton, that entire offensive staff, a lot of credit for getting DEREK Meadows here because, well, it was a difficult recruitment. Alabama was very much in it. As I mentioned, he visited Tennessee. But Notre Dame was a big school that you had to fend off, and, well, it worked out. Now, you see him here on a wide-open trick play touchdown. You see, there were a lot of these clips where he was just wide open and they just hit him. So let's talk about him as far as a track and field athlete. As you can see, he was the Gatorade Nevada Track and Field Athlete of the Year. And one thing to point out, this is the third consecutive year LSU has brought in a 6'6 wide receiver, and that does not include Kylan Billiot. Now, Kamarion Pimpton, more of a tight end receiver hybrid, same thing with Trey Green, but you get the point. 3 consecutive years, 6'6 pass catchers at LSU, and we've never really seen those types of players at LSU. So this is a new frontier going after these freak athlete types of players. And one thing to note, DEREK Meadows at 6'6", he is a hurdler, right? So this isn't a long jump. This guy has true athleticism, true burst, true long speed. You love to see it. But now we have to have an honest conversation of one massive concern.
With receivers, it's It's production, even more than running backs, more than quarterbacks. It is, did you earn the targets? It's not athleticism. It's not straight line speed, and so it's just very concerning.
So that was Alfred Fernandez, a wide receiver analyst for Campus to Canton, and a neutral perspective. He's not, a Notre Dame or LSU fan, and he did this a month ago, this evaluation of Meadows. You're taking a look at his recruiting ranking, and what's very interesting is he's right. Meadows is not really productive at all. In fact, he would probably be one of the least productive skill position guys to ever come to LSU. In 10 games last year, he only caught 15 passes. So it is a bit of a red flag, but I am going to push back on it just a little bit. Yes, he should be more productive as a 5-star receiver, and you would like to see more multi-catch games. But as you can see, as the season moved on, his receptions did go up a little, and he plays at Bishop Gorman. I mean, this is an absolutely loaded high school. A few years ago, they had Zachariah Branch, who LSU is going up against. And then obviously last year, one running back that's going to Michigan, one tight end that's going to Miami. So he had to share targets with all of these different Division I Power 5 weapons. And on top of that, Bishop Gorman played in a lot, and I mean a lot of blowouts. As you can see, they only lost one game over the past 2 years, and that was against Mater Dei High School, a powerhouse in California. So he played in, yes, some high-scoring games. You would like to see more numbers, but a lot of these games are out of hand, and Bishop Gorman has all the elite recruits in Nevada. So they just overwhelmed a lot of teams with the run game and so on and so on. What I will say, though, is I do think out of any wide receiver prospect that LSU has ever brought in, this senior tape is going to be very interesting, because now you take a look at these next two Bishop Gorman classes, there are no other 4-star wide receivers or better. Yes, the lack of production is alarming, but I am not going to overly freak out about that, because he was on such a loaded team and played on so many blowout types of game scripts. So what I will say, he needs to flat out dominate this next year, or else I am concerned about him as a prospect to a certain degree. Another thing from a pure LSU perspective, they know every cycle they're going to have good wide receivers committed. They have Teron Francis, who I think in this 2025 class is underrated out of Edna Karr High School. He is also committed, so Meadows isn't the only wide receiver that they have. I also think Meadows could eventually turn into a hybrid tight end, kind of like Kamarion Pimpton, if you will. What I would, though, say, and I do think from LSU's vantage point, this makes a lot of sense, they are chasing a ceiling outcome here with DEREK Meadows. Because, look, if he does become a more productive high school player and he does get better at breaking tackles and becoming more physical and a better overall route runner, then he is truly going to be special. There is something in his range of outcomes that could turn him into truly something spectacular. Potentially, if everything went according to plan with this track and field background and so on, you could see a Kyle Pitts types of transformation here, but that is very unlikely. But it is in the range of outcomes, if that makes sense. So if you are LSU, you can chase that, because you know that you're going to have other wide receivers in the class that will give you some production. So I do think LSU is shooting for the stars here, and they should at the wide receiver position. So comment below, do you feel DEREK Meadows is the next great Tigers wide receiver? I am very interested. I love going after the unicorn type of player, and I think it's worth it. Now, I will say, once again, and anyone that watches our live streams knows this, it is rare for non-Louisiana wide receivers to succeed at LSU. Now, tight end, it's a little bit different. So if Meadows does move to tight end, sure. But more often than not, the best receivers at LSU are from Louisiana. So that is working against Meadows here in just a bit. But maybe you guys do think he is truly special. I like him, but I am very interested in the senior tape, more so than any other player really that LSU has ever brought in because of the lack of production. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And floating in your face, some other fun videos. And tonight, we are doing lemon pepper chicken wings. Let's go!